Hello and welcome back. After a mini international break and getting used to life in Mumbai, I'm back here joining Arjun at the iTest FC studio. And man, does it feel good to be back. Cheers.
Cheers. Welcome back. Last international break, we spoke about our season predictions. And this international break, since 25% of the Premier League season is done, let's talk about our team of the season so far. So, without any other delays, Samarth, what is your team and what's your formation going to look like?
Let's start with the formation. I think, considering the way the players I have in mind, I think I'm going to go for four at the back, with a double pivot in midfield, an attacking mid, and three forwards ahead with two wingers. I think that already gives too much away. But that's going to be my formation.
Okay.
What about you?
Uh, similar. So I think in the Premier League, big teams have usually played with like 4-3-3 with a single base in midfield and two eights. So
Hmm.
I've cheated a little bit, but I still will do a four in defense, single base in midfield, two eights, and two wingers and a striker. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay, fair enough. So I think instead of a double pivot, you just have two eights. I have two pivots and an attacking mid.
yeah.
Not bad. So let's dive into the first one. Who's your goalkeeper of the year so far?
So many good picks here, so many options to go from, but I would have to go with Matt Seltz. I think he's had
Okay.
lot of clean sheets, a lot of great saves, and usually when it comes to goalkeeper pick, I like going with one of those teams which are considered to be mid-table because they face more shots. I would say Matt Seltz is my pick for goalkeeper.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout. And this year there's not been one stand-up keeper. I think it's hard because if Allison and Kelleher were one player, then I think I would have gone with that, considering they've both been fantastic when they've played, but both have not played enough. So I'm actually going to go for David Raya. I think in this, especially the start of the season with Arsenal's, the challenges they've faced, I think the one person that has been completely consistent in that squad is maybe David Raya, and that
The only one.
is like I think completely. I don't think you can I don't think he's thrown a save wrong or had a mistake as such where the other ones, considering the standards they've set, you can go back and look at their highlights and pinpoint that okay, he was at fault or whatever. I don't think you can do that particularly for Raya. And again, with that being said, there's not been a standout keeper. Like Onana is actually an honorable mention as well, considering he's
True.
leading the clean sheet charts. But if you actually apply the eye test and you see how United play, then I think, considering not a major standout, I'm going to have to go with David Raya for that goalkeeper position.
Okay. And on that theme of us being unbiased, let's go
Yeah.
in defense and start with the right back
Uh,
position, which is going to be tricky
Okay. Okay.
because go
Yeah.
ahead with yours.
No, no. I mean, I'm going to go for Trent, obviously.
Yeah,
And again, not just because of his attacking performances, I think he has just
improved.
significantly improved defensively, which I've spoken about on a couple episodes before that. But yeah,
You
my
know,
bias is, I'm sorry, I'm just going to put it out there that in the defense, my bias is very much going to show. But let's start with the right back first, and I'm going to go with Trent.
so I completely get it. Like I would have expected you to go for Trent because
Hmm.
even I've also mentioned he's improved defensively. Uh, but you were mentioning United there, and you said in a team with a lot of clean sheets. I think one standout for United this season has been Mazraoui because
I
he's played
completely agree.
both right back and left back. I wanted to go for him, and that's where I said in the earlier part of the episode that I'm cheating a little bit. Uh,
Okay.
because my pick here for right back is actually Caicedo. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to do this because when
Has he
Chelsea
has he
attack,
has he
because when
played a
Chelsea
game
attack,
at right back though?
okay, this is the football hipster in me coming out, right? But when Chelsea defend, he's he takes the ball up, breaks that line. But when Chelsea attack and when Gusto goes forward, he, plays that right back role in that positional sense. So it is cheating because I'm not having a double pivot in midfield and I have to have Caicedo in that team, which is why
Okay.
I am. If I'm not allowed to do that, Mazraoui is my pick.
I mean, this is our podcast, so I think we can do whatever we want. Okay,
Sure.
cool. So it's definitely not typical, but I'll take it.
Left
Honorable
back?
mention to Ma
Okay.
Honorable mention to Mazraoui though first, to complete that right back spot. Left back, even though they've played a back three or he's played more at center back, I'm gonna go for Guardiola in that City team. Like it's hard to put any City players in considering how they've played, but Guardiola has been their clutch player. Like whether you talk about the Fulham game or the Wolves game, he's actually been a brick wall for City at kind of behind also. So I
Yeah.
think there's no like Robbo has not been at his best. I don't really see another left back. I'm gonna go for Guardiola.
Bro, I forgot Guardiola. Like the thing is, Guardiola, when you say it, he's come up with like these clutch goals. Even when they're losing, he's the one who's
Yeah.
standing out. I initially put Kerkez in my team because
Okay.
every time like Brighton play a big game, Bournemouth play a big game, Kerkez is always a standout in that team. Um, I think he also has stood out in a lot of those mid-table clashes to show where Bournemouth have been. So I'd initially put Kerkez, but yeah, honestly, Guardiola has been class. So if I have to change, I would change, but I'd still go with Kerkez because of that consistent performance for Bournemouth.
Fair enough, and not just the small games, right? Like they've beaten Arsenal and City, and he was great in both of those
Standout, yeah.
games. So I think that's a great shout. And now to complete the centre back pairings, I don't know if this is my bias, but it has to be Virgil and Konate. I don't
Has
think
to
there
be,
have
yeah.
been two better centre backs in the
No,
Premier League this year. That
no,
one
they
writes
have
itself.
they've like I remember Konate has just like pushed people away, and I think Van Dijk also like complements him really well. I think in the last few years, although Van Dijk has been like great consistently in the Premier League, I think that second person in defense has always been rotated. Like when Matip was
Yeah,
there, Gomez was there, or whatever. But now I think with like consistency over a season, like Konate is class. Like both of them are 6'3", 6'4", and just
yeah,
dominating
monsters.
dominating the league.
So yeah, I think that's a good defense. Let's move into midfield, and I'd like you to go first since you have one in base.
So yeah, exactly. I have one in base. It was honestly like I have to pick Gravenberch in midfield. The other option was Gravenberch and Caicedo as a double pivot, uh, or Gravenberch and Lavia as a double pivot. But I think Gravenberch has to go in considering how he has revolutionized his game under Arne Slot. Like I would have never
Uh-huh.
looked at him as that base in the six, but more as one of the two eights.
Yeah.
But I think he's really like shown that he's world class, or at least he has shown that he has world class performances this season. So he picks himself in that team for me. What about you?
Yeah, for me, like you said, my double pivot's going to be Gravenberch and Caicedo. And I think the with the Caicedo, I think Gravenberch writes himself, right? His transitional play, the way he uses body, like he's been fabulous. But I think
Mm-hmm.
for me, Caicedo honestly gets solidified after that Arsenal performance because I think this entire season, Chelsea have had their ups compared to last year. It's a big squad. Enzo Maresca, new manager coming in. The Lavia Caicedo pivot causes them some troubles in terms of creativity. But how Caicedo played against Arsenal, I think he was brilliant.
Been everywhere throughout. Huh? Like he's been
Yeah,
everywhere throughout. And this is not the Caicedo last season where he played with like Enzo Fernandez and Fernandez had to carry the ball. Like he now plays with Lavia and the team is built around him. And bro, like
yeah,
this guy is captain. Like he was wearing the armband against Arsenal.
exactly.
What a performance, man. And like he's one of those few players who you go like, fair enough, he's worth 100 mil, you know?
At least he's starting to show those signs. This is the Caicedo that we saw at Brighton. The ability to just completely take that ball, which he has no right to do. But yeah, good for Caicedo that he's coming into his own now. Who are your two eights
So
in front of the Gravenberch?
okay, you go with your 10, I guess. How you call it a
I
10 or
think,
an 8?
yeah, I'm gonna go a 10. I mean, and that's again Cole Palmer. I think that kind of, if you have the stability with Gravenberch and Caicedo in midfield, then you need that, 10 attacking to roam freely. And I don't think there is anyone better in that number 10 position than Cole Palmer right
Hmm.
now.
Okay. My controversial pick is Cole Palmer is not in my team, right?
Okay,
Because
okay.
I agree that he scored 4 goals in a half and great performance, but since the last international break to now, it's been what Chelsea played Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United. He ghosted in all those 3 games. And
Yeah, he ghosted in the big ones,
in the big
definitely.
ones, and I think he has time on his hands. It's nothing against Cole Palmer. He's a brilliant player, but the reason why I couldn't have in my team is because of the two who I have. Right?
Okay.
Apology to Tottenham fans. I have shat on Madison the whole season, and
Oh, oh,
it's not what you think.
this
It's
is
not what you think.
okay. I thought
Uh,
you were gonna go for
no, 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 no,
Madison.
no.
That's like a
And the thing is, I've always analyzed Tottenham this season by saying Madison is not that great and other players have been okay. But I've gone back and said, and this is a little bit because of the media, right? Because the media just hype English players and they hype Madison for even his goal at Old Trafford, right? Like he was hyped. And then I realized when I analyzed Tottenham, there were always players who I spoke about. One player who I always said, hey, he was doing okay, he was doing well. Kulusevski. He's
yeah,
now playing in midfield, right? And he's like, if you ask Tottenham fans, the first 6 months after he joined, he played amazing on the wing, took Tottenham to a Champions League place, kind of hot and cold 2 seasons after. But now, bro, like every year, he's keeping Madison out of that team, bro. And
yeah.
in the
And
beginning, I was saying,
most big
right?
chances created. Like Kulusevski actually has the most big chances created this year, which is very underrated.
Bro, it's crazy. Like he's keeping Madison out of the team. And like in any other team, like if you see like when Raya replaced Ramsdale, the amount of press surrounding that deal, every time, Raya made a mistake, he was hounded. And that's what you expect from the British media when a foreign player does well and he's replacing an English guy. But I haven't heard anything. Like no one's saying anything about Madison being dropped.
Yeah.
And that just
So
shows how well Kulusevski is played.
fair enough. Who's the other eight?
Okay, also a tough pick, but I think it's an Aston Villa midfielder. And people were thinking it would be Morgan Rogers or Jacob Ramsey, but I've gone for Yuri Tielemans. I
Okay.
think Tielemans makes that team tick, even when, Villa have lost in the last 2 games against Tottenham and Liverpool.
Yeah.
I still feel they control that midfield quite well. Like Liverpool's 2 goals were on transition and stuff.
Yeah.
And
All
bro, like,
counters.
and bro, like, I think Tielemans' reputation was ruined because of one video, bro. Like few years
The
ago where he
slow
was
running.
jogging,
Yeah. Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
But it's very unfair. Like the guy runs a lot. He's actually at when he was at Leicester, he actually finished his coaching badges, and he's also like a coach. Like, and it
Oh,
shows
okay.
he just orchestrates that midfield for Villa. And so I'm
Yeah.
going with three of Gravenberch, Kulusevski, and Tielemans. I think they just deserve it this season.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And now going for our attackers. Is there any doubt at right wing? Who are we gonna pick?
There's no doubt in right or left for me.
Yeah, left either for you?
Yeah. No, right and left
Okay,
for me, it's Salah and Diaz, man. Like,
okay. Yeah,
pick
I think
themselves.
that's pick themselves. I think Salah is obviously just Salah. And with Diaz, I think the argument more is because of Gakpo comes in and plays left wing as well. It's more that no other left wing has really stood out. Like I think we've spoken about this before that Son has not been in the news that much. Martinelli's, not been the greatest for Arsenal. City don't have really a left winger where Foden's not playing there or Grealish is not doing enough, Doku's not doing enough. I don't see another left wing that is really standing out this year. Um,
Maybe Gordon. That's all. Anthony Gordon. That's it.
maybe,
And
but
even
yeah,
he doesn't play
and
on the
Diaz
left
has,
as much. So, yeah.
yeah, and Diaz has been better.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
I would, I think the left and right wing
They
they
pick
right
themselves.
themselves.
Yeah.
What are you going for the striker though?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, I was actually surprised, and this is the first pick that I'm showing you some stats about. Okay, the player I've gone for has more Premier League goals than Erling Haaland, Eric Cantona, Daniel Sturridge, Aubameyang, Alexis Sanchez, Welbeck, Luis Suarez, and Di Canio. Chris Wood.
Oh, damn. I was actually going to go for Chris Wood as well, but I did not know this
Yeah.
stat because I wanted to have a Nottingham player in there, just because of how amazing they've been, and Chris Wood has been at the helm of that team. But holy fuck, that's a crazy stat.
Yeah, and okay, of course he's played like 200 and something games, so it's a bit like flawed, but it's just impressive, bro. Like a player like him who's very underrated. He's played
Yeah,
for what, Burnley, Newcastle, and now Nottingham,
Newcastle.
and bro, like incredible. And now he's what, scoring like prime Drogba or better than prime
Yeah,
Drogba actually, like 19 or 20 in 26 under Nuno. Like he's having the season of
he's
his
been
life.
amazing for sure,
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
think honorable mentions, of course, Haaland.
Yeah, that I was gonna say he's a victim of his own success because he still scored 12 in 11, which
Yeah.
would be a freak season for any other player.
Yeah.
But with Haaland, it's again that same argument, right? That if he doesn't score, you're basically playing with 10 men.
Yeah.
So
You
in
don't even
terms
talk
of
about Haaland when he doesn't score.
at all, like
Yeah.
at all. So I think Chris Wood's overall gameplay and just considering that Nottingham are, 11 games in level on points with the likes of an Arsenal and Chelsea, just goes to show that they deserve to have at least one player in there. But yeah, I think that's our team of
And
the
your
season.
coach?
And yeah, who are you going for the manager? I think that one also writes itself. At
um,
least I mean, an honorable mention to Nuno, but I don't think 11 games in the most points ever in Premier League history, Arne Slot. Uh, I don't think you can argue with that one. Nobody would have imagined him to make this start and the way Liverpool are flying right now. So I'm definitely going to go for Arne Slot.
yeah, I think you've convinced me when you say it that way because I think, yeah, I would have said probably either Nuno, Unai, or him, but yeah, probably like no one would have predicted Liverpool to be where they are. So Arne Slot is the coach.
Yeah, like Liverpool were not supposed to be in a title conversation this year, right? Like it was a very transitional season. Like what is going to happen after Jurgen Klopp? They still had the team, but for a new guy, and we've seen this with Dutch ball managers before that doesn't really work out.
New guy who hasn't spent in the summer. I think that's also a
Nothing. Yeah,
huge
absolutely
talking
nothing.
point. Yeah,
For sure, for sure. So I think Arne Slot takes that for me.
fair play, fair play. But
Fair
those are
play.
two very good teams, huh? Two very good teams.
And so that's our team of the season. Let us know if we've missed anyone. Engagement is also definitely important, so let us know in the comments. Next week, we've got City versus Spurs and Arsenal versus Nottingham coming up. So see you guys next week.